Okay, good evening. It is August 3rd, 2023. Okay, so I wanted to touch base about a couple things. I did go to see the movie The Sound of Freedom myself, and because obviously a lot of people have been going to see the movie as well, and we all think it's a great film, and I thought it was a great movie as well, and very well done. Well, it's based on a true story, and and there's nothing to discredit about this. This is based on a true story. So I just it's basically just shedding light on the whole human trafficking situation, which is what Hollywood didn't want. So that's why they've been suppressing the movie for all these years. So, you have to give credit for everybody involved in making this movie. So we have to give kudos out to everybody involved, because this is, a very serious situation, and, it was they're taking a lot of heat, and believe me, I know what that's like as a whistleblower, taking a lot of heat. My life hasn't been the same for 10 years. I don't even know what it's like to have a normal life anymore. For 10 years I've been a whistleblower, and where I've been in danger pretty much every single day of my life for 10 years. So, I know what it's like to try to do the right thing and have the whole, cabal after you. Believe me. Okay, so one thing I hear. So anyway, when I was in the theater, I was hearing people say that at the end of the movie, that they were saying things like, "Wow, I didn't know that this kind of thing was happening in our country." Okay, so these are the type of things I heard around me as I was in the theater. Oh wow, this is happening in our country. Okay, so it's like I think just basically, like, I think, and we just don't know, because they've kept it oppressed from the basic people that all this is happening in our country. Okay, so they purposely oppress this from the public, that this type of thing is happening right in our country. Okay, so they're trafficking children right through CPS. So I'm going to tell you where it's happening. Okay, right in our country. Okay, so in South Dakota, they've been taking children right through the Indian reservations for years. They're also taking children right through CPS. And in South Dakota, they've also been taking children right through the child developmental centers. Okay, and myself and Paul Register did a video about this a couple years ago. Who's a friend of mine in South Dakota, who's a social worker in South Dakota, and he was witness to some of the abuses that have been happening in the child developmental centers in South Dakota. He said they are purposely forcing the state to label the Indian children disabled, and they are being paid $79,000 per child, and so then they are ending up in these developmental centers where they are then abused. Okay, and they're like state, they're under state protection or whatever, and so we've been, Paul Register and I have been talking about this situation for years. Okay, so it's the CPS, Child child developmental centers in South Dakota. So it's like um, the disabled centers, maybe, they're trafficking children through any kind of disabled children centers. In South Dakota, it's called the child developmental centers, but it's really the disabled kids. So probably in other states, it's any kind of disabled kid is probably under threat of being trafficked. Okay, you have to understand this is where they're doing it. Okay, and I did a video a couple of years ago where in South Dakota, not in South Dakota, in Arizona, 550 kids disappeared from the Arizona CPS system. Okay, I did a whole story on it. I'll include the link. They try to say all kinds of stuff about it, like they try to make up all kinds of excuses about where these kids went, but a lot of people know that in the end that they were eventually just trafficked. Okay, Arizona is like the head of all the trafficking. Arizona has, if you don't know, Arizona has high-speed magnetic hyper shuttles underground, and they have had this for like 50 years. Okay, John McCain has been a huge part of this, and John Kerry, his buddy, has been a huge part of this. These guys are huge human traffickers. Okay, they have huge underground systems going on through that whole state, and they have been for like 50 years. So this is what we know now, and this is what we're finding out, and many people have known this for years, but the general public needs to catch up. Okay, so we have known that in many states the CPS is involved in this type of trafficking. Okay, in many states CPS is involved. Okay, so you have to watch because they will find any and every reason to try to take your kids. They will try to find reasons to take your children from you, to make you seem like you're not a good parent, to try to take your kids. Okay, that's why a lot of people are just getting dogs now, because because it's such a hassle getting a child, but I've always been a dog lover anyways, but but CPS is making it so difficult for people to have a child, because they're making it so difficult to have, for the rules and regulations and different things. So this is insane what is going on. Okay, so and also so there is a movie that came out in 2021 called Crisis, and that was based in North Dakota and South Dakota, about a situation, about a drug trafficking situation. Okay, it was nobody ever said if it was fiction or non-fiction, but I know personally that it was based on a true story. Okay, there is a huge problem with fentanyl going on in the North and South Dakota area, and it is based on a true story. Okay, the movie Crisis. Okay, and that there was a situation in North and South Dakota where hundreds of people ended up dead from some fentanyl abuses. From they thought they were taking pain pills, but they ended up, they were taking fentanyl. So, they ended up, losing their life because they thought they were taking a pill instead of a pain pill, and said it was laced with fentanyl. Okay, so that is what was happening in North and South Dakota, and that is what is still happening unless they get stopped soon. Okay. And this movie, this was based on a true story, and about a woman who lost her son from, it was a very young boy who was who just took some kind of pain meds for a sports injury, and he ended up dead from taking a pain pill. Okay, so what fentanyl does, for anybody who doesn't know, fentanyl it relaxes you, but what happens is with fentanyl is that it shuts down your complete autonomic nervous system, and so you stop breathing. Okay, so fentanyl, I'll say it again, fentanyl completely shuts down your autonomic nervous system, so you completely stop breathing, so you will die. Okay, and that is the whole purpose of fentanyl. So it is, so fentanyl is a deadly drug because it completely shuts down your autonomic nervous system, which is the part of your nervous system that is the part that affects your breathing. Okay, so what happens is you stop breathing in the middle of the night. Okay, this is what nobody is explaining. So I'm going to explain it right now, right here, right now. Okay. What happens is that you stop breathing when you take anything that is laced or associated with fentanyl in any way. And you don't wake up, ever. Okay? You go to sleep and you never wake up. Ever. You're dead. You're gone. Okay? You see why this is a problem now? Okay? Okay, so there is still fentanyl coming through the northern border, through, I don't know why nobody is hardly ever talking about the issues that we're having with the northern border. Okay, we do have two borders, the south and the north. And I live in the northern border area now. Okay, I never knew there was such a problem going on in this area until I lived up there. I live in Minnesota, but it wasn't as prevalent as it was when I moved to North and South Dakota. Okay, so we have a very serious issue in North and South Dakota with this fentanyl coming in, okay? And, there's a whole movie about it, and, it is still coming in, the fentanyl, okay? So, I just, at some point, somebody has to take it seriously, It's not like marijuana or cocaine. Fentanyl can actually kill you overnight because it shuts down your breathing. Okay? So, I just have to explain it on the most basic level for the most basic people to understand, because apparently they're not getting it. Okay? So, I'm trying to make people get it, what's going on here. Okay, so, and then, President Trump was going after the human trafficking when he was in office. Okay, he was going after this subject, and he is the only president that I ever know of that was going after this subject, and that is why they're going after him so much. Okay, he was going after all the tunnels. He was going after the trafficking, cleaning up all the tunnels in many different areas of our country. Okay, and there was even special forces operations that went down there, and some special forces people even lost their lives because, you know, these are things that I heard because I have military contacts and different things because I'm military. Okay, this is what I heard, is that there was special operations and different things that happened where they were going on and going after the tunnels and the trafficking operations, and some of them lost their lives by being electrocuted in some of these human trafficking tunnels. Okay, so some special forces guys lost their lives trying to save the kids in these trafficking tunnels. Okay, so we are trying to do our part. Okay, in this country, but this is extremely demonic. What we are dealing with is extremely satanic, demonic, more so than I think anybody in this country ever imagined. You know, it's like because they've kept it so hidden from us on purpose. You know, so I think, you know, for the most part, you know, just the basic person and basic military or any kind of government service, they don't know. They've kept it hidden from all of us. Okay, so you have to understand that we have been kept in the dark. Okay, so but anybody with just, you know, some kind of spiritual you know, understanding, or, you know, I've for my whole life I've been in relationship with the Holy Spirit. You know, so that's why I'm such a threat, apparently. You know, but I see what other people don't see. So that's why I'm such a threat. So I see the type of things in the Holy Spirit that they don't want you to see. So we are dealing with a spiritual threat here on these different bases like Fort Hood and you know, many different bases that so that they don't want you to know about. So this is what we're dealing with is a spiritual battle, you know, and some of it they're doing right through the military, right through military bases, different things like that, and they don't want you to know about it. They're not going to tell you right through the military, you know, that this is going on. You know, I wouldn't. They had to. They had to force me out. Thank God I got out on an honorable discharge. You know, but they were trying to force me out illegally out of the military for just being a whistleblower and trying to do the right thing. When I uncovered that huge embezzlement scandal in Arizona, and I mean, and then that's not the only thing, you know, that there was all kinds of stuff going on in Arizona. I mean, there was human trafficking, weapons trafficking, money laundering, you know, everything you can imagine. Arizona was like the center of the deep state. Okay, you know. I mean, so here I am finding myself in the center of one of the most corrupt military bases in the entire country. And then I go literally to flee for my life back to Minnesota, and it was okay for a while. And, you know, and then I get harassed by the police in Minnesota. The whole George Floyd, you know, the corruption going on with the police there, which the police got very corrupted in Minnesota. And then I end up in South Dakota, and then I come to find out that South Dakota is very much involved and all of the corruption. And, so that's kind of what I'm exposing now today, is that, South Dakota is very much involved in all of the corruption going on in this country. And, there's some good things. I'm not trying to say that it's all bad, because I moved there because it's a beautiful state and it's low property taxes, and I got a really good deal on a property there. But I'm just saying that I could not believe the level of corruption that I have been hearing about. Okay? This is not talked about on any radio show, any TV show, anything. I mean, the level of corruption that's going on in North and South Dakota is not talked about in any kind of program that I've ever heard about. It's the most hushed subject I have ever experienced in my entire life. It's completely scary and terrifying. Like, it's super creepy beyond like you can ever imagine. Okay, so the trafficking is going on big time in South Dakota, right through my area that I live in, through Aberdeen, South Dakota, right up through North Dakota into Canada. Okay, and it's creepy as hell, and it's been going on for years, and that is one of the reasons why the locals don't say anything. Okay, so wake up, people, because this has been happening for years in this area. Okay, so and then in Arizona. Okay, so in Arizona, I did a video about how 550 kids disappeared from the Arizona CPS system. Okay, they were never uncovered, as far as we know. The whole CPS system was involved. Then True Pundit did a whole. I did a video about this. How True Pundit did a whole video about a whole story about how Paul Peterson was indicted from Maricopa County. He was the assessor, Maricopa County assessor, and he was indicted for human smuggling and illegal adopting ring. Okay, and he was Maricopa County assessor. Okay, and you never heard about this in the mainstream news. They tried to oppress this. Okay, but this came out a few years ago now. Okay, so I'm going to talk about it again, because apparently this is the only place where the real news is coming out, where the whistleblowers. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the real statistics of what is going on with human trafficking throughout the entire world. Okay, so here's the real statistics of the kids disappearing in different countries throughout the entire world. Okay, Australia, about 20,000 kids per year disappear. Canada, about 45,288,000 kids disappear per year. Okay? Germany, 100,000 per year. India, 96,000 per year. Jamaica, 1,984 per year. Russia, it was 45,000 a year. Now it's different. Okay, United Kingdom, 112,853 per year. The USA, we're the biggest of them all. 460,000 kids disappear in our country per year. And we wonder why we are under judgment, and we wonder why, these Satanists run our country. This is who runs our country. These Satanists who are involved in all this trafficking. 460,000 kids disappear in our country per year. Okay, so if nobody gets it by now, that we have a serious problem with child trafficking and child sacrifice and this whole satanic issue in our country, then you are the dumbest person on the planet. Okay? You have to understand that this is a real issue, and if you don't get it by now, and if you're not awake by now, that we have an issue, then I'm sorry for you. Okay? Because I'm sick of trying to do all these videos for free without getting any kind of, I just do these videos for free. I haven't gotten donations. I haven't got, I just do this because I care. And I'm sick of doing all this because people just aren't getting it. So if you're not getting it, then, I don't feel sorry for you at all. So if you get it and you get what we're going through and you get what I'm trying to say, then hopefully you'll wake up to what's going on. All right, thank you.